Hey everybody, welcome to a conversation on multiplication.
Why are we talking about that?
I don't know. I've been gone the last week, so I don't know.
Is this one of those moments? So I have some assumptions, but sometimes you're gone for a week and it feels like that was like one day, and then you're gone for a week. Sometimes and you're like, I can't even remember the last time I was here. What are you at?
Closer to the second for sure. I think there's just so many moving things happening in life and in church and in work that I try very actively to be present in California with my family.
Yeah, how did you do it?
Up until the last 2 days. I think I was telling Rachel earlier that the worst part about like being gone is the anticipation of the day you come back. When you're like, I'm gonna have all these emails, I'm gonna have all these like things that I know that I normally would just like on a regular basis I would have taken care of, and they don't take long. But it's even like it's just part of the. You guys all did a little sermon planning yesterday, and then just like the day before we came back, the thought about even if I go and I'm at that thing, if I'm at the sermon prep meeting, I'm going to be thinking about all these other people that I have to call back, that I have to shoot emails to, that I have to, and so I don't know. I feel like I always should plan nothing the day you get back, so that everything that didn't get done can get done.
But there's research is the right word, I think. But there's research that shows that the exponential value of taking 2 weeks over 1 week is it's more than double, because if you take 7 days, you have like a day and a half of trying to let go, and then a day and a half of coming back. And so if you subtract 3, you have 4 days ish. That's coming in if you have those halves. Could really be 3. But if you have 2 weeks and you say it's still a day and a half, all of a sudden it's double the time. But
way more time.
You have 10 days.
Yeah. I mean, we even did, I think it was 8 days instead of 7, which that extra day is nice.
Yep, because your wind up, wind down doesn't change. But if you can...
And then you add travel days into that. Like going to California is always like a full day of travel.
Mm-hmm. Your in and out to days there ratio was a little low though.
Did you go to In-N-Out?
I went twice.
Once every 4
I was
days.
gonna go multiple times, more than that, but then with us going to Houston now, I didn't have to.
True.
That's right.
Because we'll get it at least once.
I love trying so hard to honor time away and not say anything, but I'm like, I really can't buy a plane ticket without talking to somebody.
And at a minimum, you needed my date of birth. I guess you could have thought about it.
I could have gotten that.
You could have figured it out.
Yeah. But no, that's exciting and cool.
Yeah. So we
am part of multiplication.
We in 2005 when Amber and I moved to Minneapolis to plant. There's planting a church. I think this is something that is important for everybody to think about, and think about even often, is that as you drive down here in Northeast Minneapolis, there are church buildings that are not new. There are buildings that are more than 100 years old, when asbestos was a great insulator, and
it still is.
Yes, that's true.
It's maybe the best.
Insulates weirdly.
But everything... Old things in Minneapolis actually aren't that old, but every church that you feel like, well, that's been there forever. That was planted. That was started.
Mm-hmm.
It began. There are beautiful narratives. In fact, hopefully, I think that we're going to do a little bit of video aspect for the How We Plant next week in our conversation, week number 2, telling more of the Corner Church story. But I think also part of it, I would love to capture the video, or just even if it's just pictures. One of my favorite places in St. Paul is in St. Paul's Cathedral. There's the book of donations to plant the St. Paul's Cathedral. Mm-hmm. And to see all these very Minnesotan names that gave less than $1 is beautiful beyond beauty. Mm-hmm. And so churches start, and when we we started when we planted Corner Church, the thing that was not just clever from the beginning, it was like part of our calling, like what we saw as being an important aspect of who we are, is that we're a church that starts churches, that our healthy church does grow and people move. So that growth isn't necessarily always numeric, linear growth, whatever on that, but for us, our long-term growth pattern as a church is not to build bigger barns, but to build more barns. That's a farm. That was farming. That was biblically. But it's not. It's instead of trying to build a bigger auditorium with more seats, have more rooms that can have more people. And the vision of that is not to have more of an entity or an organization. The vision of that, the calling, the foundation of the calling, is because God's plan for our neighborhood and for you and for your family. How is God interacting with us? A big aspect of that, maybe the biggest aspect of that, is the body of Christ. Is how God interacts with us. And so, what we want is not a bigger body. We want more bodies.
Mm-hmm.
The body of Christ should be local, not necessarily huge.
Yes.
And so here we are again, 9:05 Nicollet.
9:05.
I was yesterday, or not yesterday, 10 minutes ago. I was in the coffee shop next door here, talking to a couple of University of Minnesota students that went to high school with Abria, my daughter. They are next door right here, and I said, "Hey, we're opening on Nicollet," and I said, "Kind of where?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, is that close to Coconut Whisk?" And I said, "Yes, yes, it is.
Very close.
Can't get any closer.
And so, the need, the opportunity, and the complexity of being the body of Christ or being a church in downtown Minneapolis is beyond our comprehension. But we need to be there. Yeah. We're called to be there.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to be there.
We're supposed to be there. And so, praying for opportunity and provision, I guess, happened.
It's such a good. I mean, there's a whole thing.
I guess happened. Done.
I guess happened.
Well, it's sometimes like, I think it's like praying to be healed, and then you all of a sudden aren't sick or hurting anymore, and you go,
"Oh, it happened."
Did it happen? Did it happen? What happened?
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those moments you go, Did it happen? And I know the simple answer is yes. I'm not sick anymore. Yes, we do have opportunity, but also in the midst of this is you go, God. This is biblical narrative. As he goes throughout all the biblical narrative, where's the line between what Noah did in building the ark and God's provision of calling and telling him to build the ark? And this narrative is building this picture, the complexity of God's partnership with humanity, and we're in that. We're in it.
Yeah.
Welcome.
It's such a good measure of a communal faith is a season where there's so many unknowns, and our ability to continue to walk and make progress in the midst of it. It's hopefully it's not as intense as the wandering in the wilderness, and hopefully it's not because we did something to deserve wilderness, but there is this picture to some degree of okay, we don't know, even since I got back, I've had people ask a bunch of questions about it. And there's so many times it's we don't know, figuring it out.
Yeah.
But in confidence and boldness of believing that God's ahead of us, it's so much easier to have faith when you imagine that God's already at work. God's doing stuff in the lives of people that live and work right on Nicollet right there.
Yeah.
And our response to that is faith. And we get to walk in that, and we get to see that happen. It's not I hope somebody will come. No, I believe that there are people that God is already working on their hearts, and they will be on the team.
Yeah, pick any of our communities or any community and go, is there need for the body of Christ to be active here? And you go, yeah, check that. And that is true in Camden, in a community where people have comparatively have lived there longer, even generationally have lived there longer. And it can be a moment when you go, people just do their thing. But the struggling, the hurting, the aimless, even the healthy and the happy, what is the need? The body of Christ. And, I think that sometimes it's easy to use vernacular in church world, which is not non-pastors maybe, but like, this neighborhood needs a good church, and that the inclination of that is that it needs a good building that has a lot of people coming to something on Sunday.
Yeah.
And there's nothing inherently wrong with the gathering of saints on Sunday. That's beautiful. But the calling to not just be a visitor to a community on Sunday, but to be one who loves their neighbor all the time is really, really beautiful. So, striving to do that. I love it. This morning I just had another, again, insightful, encouraging, challenging, beautiful moment. So there's a building, I'm blanking on the name of it right now, North Star I think it is, but it's an office building / hotel that is now, and it's actively renovating to turn it into over 100 homes. And the thing that I heard from the downtown resource is that get ready, because there are a bunch of downtown office buildings that are going to build an aspect of housing as part of there'll be a lawyers and banks and offices. There's going to be restaurants, retail, and then there's going to be 100 houses in these buildings that historically had been 300,000 square feet of just office.
It's great.
And so it's happening. And so again, providentially, I don't know, but we'll the residential density of downtown. There are people that are doing lots of research and have lots of money that are saying, "Yep, people are going to live downtown."
There's I love I'm trying to figure out where God's already answering these prayers, but it's really in hindsight that you can see where God's been at work, and we should use those things as moments of propelling faith forward. So faith measured backwards propels faith forward. And so when we are talking about multiplication, it's so valuable to look at the hard moments where God's provision was all over and use those as opportunities to help propel what God's doing forward and to meet him where he's at.
Yep.
That's the value of sharing the multiplication story.
Yeah.
Of like how Corner got to where we're at.
Yeah. And the process to the goal of this week in our conversation is to do something that can be kind of a twisted vernacular, is that you can say, we are called to do this. And I know that I just think that's kind of salesmanish. Like if somebody came to me trying to sell something and said, they use the word we, I'm like, okay, it's actually you, and please don't include me. And on the other end of it too is like there can be, church planting can be the opposite of that, is like, when are they going to plant over there? Why are they doing it? They like exclusionary. And I think that in Luke 14:15, Jesus just really exposes his passion for people. This is really culminating with the parables of the lost sheep, lost shepherd, lost sheep, lost coin, lost son. And I was telling this to Rachel yesterday, is that I think Jesus got a little Bundy-ish when he was sharing these parables. I can imagine him really choking up as he talks about the dad waiting. And so if I can grab onto that Jesus' passion for people, and then from that, just have a math moment. Jesus' passion for people, feel it, see it, realize it, and then go, we are commissioned. Again, that's churchy words or biblical words, whatever, but Jesus looked at his disciples and said, all right, I can, but I'm sending you. This is a Great Commission, Matthew 28.
Yeah.
Paul has a response out of that. This is Paul, another biblical writer, says that again, saved by grace through Jesus, and we are Jesus' ambassadors, which is a powerful declaration. Jesus is passionate, we're commissioned. Jesus is passionate, we are representatives of him. It's such a powerful word. It's a good English translation. Not always the case, but to be an ambassador is a good word.
Mm-hmm.
And then from being an ambassador to realize, again, as another Paul moment, but to be the body of Christ is that the commissioning and the being the ambassador is not for just a section of the church or of humanity. It's that we all have important aspects of it. And I'm saying it on video and audio is that on Sunday we're going to be holding pieces of body. Right, Greg?
I don't know.
I asked Michelle and Derek, who are part of our church community. I just know that they have a bunch of mannequins.
I'm so glad we got to mannequins.
Yes.
Yeah.
And but the picture of it is that I imagine myself. I visualize Greg holding this mannequin child arm. Milky white. It's just threads on the end. But the picture of it's so good is that, because you could say, all right, so this is the aspect. These are the people that are supposed to be commissioned ambassadors. And that picture of it is that this is not complete. This is God's plan is not just to say, well, what the church, in order to be commissioned as ambassadors, is a bunch of arms. That's not how it works. It's not that we all have a local, we all have a neighbor, all have family, people that we love and care for, that we are well placed in. And I think it can be, this is a heavy passion for me, is that I feel like modern church can say, man, if somebody could come into my world and impact my kids, impact my parents, impact my cousins, impact my neighbors, if they could come in and do it, man, I care. I'll pray for that every single day. And it's, Jesus is going, what the heck? Who do you think you are? And in the both ends of that, do you think that little of your placement and that little of who you are, and also think that somebody else should do this for you? Who do you think you are? And that's why we plant, is because it's Jesus's passion for people, and we've been called to be a part of it. I get the torso. I get the weirdest part.
Yeah.
It's torso and leg.
And a leg?
It's head, body, and one leg.
Oh my goodness. I don't like any of it.
And it's a child. I'm going to put a little t-shirt on it, I think.
What about
What holds on pants when there's no
belt?
Maybe I will do no shirt, but I'm just going to get a
little suspenders.
little bit of
like jean
some
shorts.
tiny jeans with one leg in. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is weird.
Yeah.
It just got weirder.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She got rich.
Have you ever tried to send a letter without a address?
I've mailed some without the address on it.
What happened?
If you forget to put your return address on it, nothing.
Yeah, but it goes nowhere, right?
Yeah.
It just gets stuck.
Yeah.
I mean, and for people, there's a big difference of walking or going someplace with a destination, with here's where we're going, and that commission literally means with sending. So when you think about it, if you just tell someone go, and they do, they're gonna be like, what the,
Yeah.
what, But if you say go and do this, you're going with ascending, with a purpose, and that's why we multiply.
Yeah.
We go with sending.
I break the rules, if that's all right. Is that
Scott's going to finish
no,
last
no, no,
today.
no, no,
So.
no. It can come back to you. But
No, that's great.
it's that us planting, being multiply everywhere. It's North Loop people going. I get to be a part of this in the most selfless way.
Mm-hmm.
So that there would be another body. People in Camden, Northeast, and Uptown. Is that selfishness is so natural, but the picture when Jesus shares these parables is a moment when people are being kind of selfish. Like, why is Jesus hanging out with these bad people?
Mm-hmm.
And it just lit Jesus off. And this is a moment for us to embody Jesus' heart and be selfless.
Yeah.
And when we do that, I think it's not doing to get, but I think the blessing that comes to each of our communities as we embody Jesus' heart, I think will be real in North Loop and Camden and Northeast and Uptown as well.
And it's selfless understanding of strength. If people can look and go, I get to be a part of this, and I'm an arm.
Yeah.
I get to be a part of this, and I'm a foot. We all have different skills, and you come together, that's big.
Yes, I love that picture. The moment where someone says, "This is where I fit in the picture. This is what I can do. This is how I can participate. This is how I can make a difference. This is how I can be in need." Like those are the moments we're celebrating.
We need a hand, and I'm a hand.
Yeah, it's a good moment.
We need a torso that has a head, body, and one leg.
No,
I mean, honestly, I don't know about you guys, but as we were planning stuff for the coffee shop downtown and everything this last week, I felt a little bit like we didn't have our other leg because Greg and Kelsey were gone, and it's because our team is so. Right now, I think we all complement each other, and that's what the church should look like, and that's so torso, head, leg. Let's go.
I'm on it.
Let's find the next body part.
Yeah.
With the thumb.
See you guys
Somebody's
later.
thumb.